Hey guys, it's Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, and I just saw It, Chapter 2, written by Gary Dauberman, original novel by Stephen King, and directed by Andy Muschietti. So I caught this flick at the AMC Burbank 16. Part of the thought process here was that we were going to go see the It experience happening in Hollywood. It's at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. And to do so, you needed to have proof of reserved IMAX tickets for It Chapter 2. And we tried to go to the It experience a couple times. It didn't work out. But we still went to go see It Chapter 2. Saw it in IMAX on Saturday night. IMAX at the Burbank 16 is really good. It's a fun experience. The chairs are not as comfortable as like in the Dolby Theater or the Prime Theater. Like, it's not the recliners, and for a movie as long as this one, it would have been appreciated, but I thought that it was a really good screening and didn't have any focus issues like we had last time. It Chapter 2 follows after 2017's It. The kids in that movie are now adults. It's 27 years later, and Pennywise has come back and started terrorizing the town, and they all realize that it is now or never for stopping Pennywise, and they band together to try and perform this ritual that will hopefully rid the world of Pennywise for good. So overall, this movie is interesting enough. Like, I would tell people if they're looking for a movie to go see this weekend, It Chapter 2 would probably be it. I can't think of what else is coming out, but like, you know, it's a horror movie. It does its job well. It's very well shot. Like, you know, all the pieces involved in it are all really good. The cinematography is good. The sound is good. The editing is good. The music is good. It all works for the most part. The problem is that it's just, we never really get an opportunity to have all of the kids now grown up to have the same sort of camaraderie that the kids did when they were young. And it just doesn't quite feel like the same movie that we had in 2017. I mean, it's not supposed to feel exactly the same, obviously. It's 27 years later. But I mean, like, even philosophically, it doesn't feel like it's sort of the same movie. At a point, people start getting separated and doing their own thing, and it's not even about the group at all. It's sort of like these individual stories that are being pieced together one after the other. That didn't really work for me. There were a lot of things too about this movie. So early on, in the opening, the cold opening, if you will, there's some kids in town who start verbally and physically assaulting a gay couple who's gone to the dairy fair, and there doesn't seem like, it just seems sort of gratuitous and not like it, you know what you're doing if you have a scene where somebody is beating up a bunch of gay guys just for being gay, and that hits way too close to home for a lot of people I know who had similar experiences and almost died, and to not even have that pay off in any kind of way just from the beginning. Like, it just, everything tonally seems off. And there's a scene later where Jessica Chastain is in a abusive relationship with her husband, and it gets really bad, and the elements of that can be seen further on in the movie. Like, you know, as the movie goes on, she still has welts on her arm from when she was getting hit by a belt. And there's no, like, you know, if you traditionally in movies like this, if you set up some sort of character to be this like awful person who beats his wife, or, you know, like kills people for being gay, then at some point those characters sort of get their comeuppance. In this movie, it never happens. It's just sort of like, oh yeah, those gay guys got killed at the beginning of this movie, moving on. Like, Jessica Chastain's in an awful relationship. Moving on. She'll get into a new relationship. We'll figure out how that all works. And the other, I mean, like, so the other thing is that It Chapter 1 wasn't like a faithful adaptation of what had happened in the book. I mean, in some places. It Chapter 2, going in, had me very nervous because the book ended with, like, this orgy. And there were, like, mentions of, like, how this had been culminating from the beginning. I'm glad that this very maligned ending from Stephen King did not end up in the movie version that they made here. I mean, I don't want to get into the ending in particular. Needless to say, there is a point where the movie feels like it ends, and then there's the point 20 to 30 minutes later where the movie actually ends. And most of that time, after when you think it ends, is good enough. Like, we could probably just lose that last. The movie was unnecessarily long, and the performances were not there. We're not on the level of what you expect from actors like this. Like, I mean, when I see Jessica Chastain in a movie, my first thoughts usually going in is, oh, Jessica Chastain's gonna bring it. We're gonna have a really great performance from her at the very least. James McAvoy, I like his, I like him as an actor. I think that he does really great stuff. The only person who really seems to nail this is Bill Hader. Bill Hader really sort of figures out his tone and sticks with it, and as a character, it works for him. James Ransone is also good. Ziggy Zabaka down from the docks coming back. I always enjoy his performances. It's Andy Bean, just as a thing. I worked with Andy on a web series like a year ago, and it's just so cool to go to the movies and see somebody that you worked with up on the big screen and have a role in a movie as big as this. Like, this is one of the bigger releases of the year. I'm just really happy for him. He does good work too in a limited capacity. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, you have great people. I mean, Bill Skarsgard as Pennywise is phenomenal. I am upset that we don't get as much of Pennywise as I think we should. I think that this movie should be just a lot more Pennywise, because that's what really works for me as far as, like, making me freaked out or nervous or anything like that. Isaiah Mustafa is really good. Jay Ryan is fine. It's just that none of what we have here is we have a garage full of incredible exotic cars. We have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, and, you know, like, all these really interesting cars that we can't wait to take out on the road and see what's capable. And we decide to leave at like 6:00, and we just get stuck in rush hour traffic. That's what this movie felt like. We had some really nice cars that got stuck in rush hour traffic, and then we all decided to go different ways to get to the ending, and we hung around waiting for way too long at the end. Getting to the horrorness of the movie, I mean, like, I feel like the only thing that really puts up my antennas to the possibility of terror is Pennywise. Like, when these kids are kids, I keep saying kids, but I mean, like, when these adults are now going around trying to find artifacts for their ceremony, it's not, there's not an incredible amount of, like, like the type of terror I go to a horror movie for. It's more like, you know, watching Bev's dad, like, you know, be very awful to his daughter. I mean, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it just feels like this movie wasn't thought out as well as it could have been. I wanted a little bit more of, like, you can't throw out the book on this whole thing, but I mean, it just felt like there were enough changes that were made to the movie version to sort of even out some of the edges, but then there were some things that just completely forgotten about. I would have just made this the Pennywise show, to be honest. I would have just stepped up his antics. I would have made him more ridiculous in this one. I would have had him dance at least once. I mean, he's a dancing clown. We don't see him dance at all in this movie. I don't know. It feels like a waste of a seminal horror movie performance. I guess that's where I'm coming from. It Chapter 1 was good, and Pennywise was properly terrifying. And the fact that it was children and they were all together and they got great actors to be those kids in that first movie, like, it all worked. And I was excited for 2. And 2 comes along. Again, you get great actors, just no chemistry and no attempt at chemistry, and like misguided ideas of how the story should progress and like what should be happening. And it just feels a little bit off the rails, personally speaking, just for me. All that being said, I don't want to like make it seem like I'm hating on this movie unnecessarily. I think that it is a fun time to be had at the theater. And if you have something like AMC Stubs where you can just go see any of the movies you want, go. It's good. It's fun. It's a good time. The problem is, and like the thing that separates this from like a Fast and the Furious contender is that this movie is trying way too hard and succeeding for the most part in trying to be a more traditional movie with stylish cinematography and, you know, good editing and great effects and everything like that. Like it's trying to be a really good movie. It's not trying to be like some like B horror movie. It's very serious in its intentions, but it just doesn't land. Like that's the thing. I mean, like, you know, feel free to go see it. Just understand that you're not going to feel like you saw some great piece of art at the end of it. And that's the detriment to the film. Floats. You know what floats? The leaderboard. Once again, another knock for AMC Burbank 16. We are getting so close to a video on AMC Burbank 16. So enjoy that when it comes. On to the movie leaderboard. Ugh, movie leaderboard. This one is tough. Because I mean, like, I had a fun time. I did. I was excited about going to the movie. It was a late screening. It didn't stop me at all. Like, I was very happy to be there. You know, anytime I see Pennywise, I'm happy. I know that's not the way I guess I should frame that, but I mean, like, the Bill Skarsgard and Pennywise, and this performance as Pennywise is so good that I enjoy it anytime I see it, no matter what is happening. And the rest of the cast just is not quite that. I mean, they're all very good, very talented. They're just not given the position like Bill Skarsgard to be in a character in a position to succeed. So that's the difference. But if I had to give it a rating, I would give It Chapter 2 a 6.9. Again, it's not an award contender. I mean, you know, special effects, makeup, maybe. But not like anything big. It's very misguided at times, but fun. I mean, just it's an experience. And, you know, if you wanted to, really, I think that you could just leave the movie at some point if you feel like you've had enough. Like, there is definitely a point where you feel like we're seconds away from the movie ending, and we're not. We're a good solid 20 minutes away from the movie ending. But in those 20 minutes, you don't feel that there's nothing that happens there that really satisfies you incredibly. So if you felt like you wanted to just cut out a little early, then feel free. Beat the traffic. Anywho, that's it for me. If you want more, you can go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Definitely want to go see some more movies coming out. all my favorite movies of the year, I think, are coming out right now with like the fall winter awards season push. So I would like to be going to the movie theaters as often as possible and churning out reviews for you to see. If there's something in particular that you hear about or you see and you want me to see and you want me to tell you about it, then hit me up on social media, comment on this below, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And yeah, that's about it. So if you don't mind, I have to blow up hundreds of red balloons.